Choices is another self-explanatory poem. What I'm basically talking about with this poem is about the choices everyone makes in life, particularly when they become adults. The first couple of stanzas talk about being born and entering the world and being given a lot in life, usually by our parents, and if not our parents, or not just our parents, by our teachers and relatives and peers, about certain path that you have to take in life. And usually that path is like growing up and doing what your parents tell you, and going to school and graduating, and then once you've graduated, entering adulthood and making your own choices. I talk about the fact that we are making what we think are the right choices for ourselves, and that's something that's repeated a lot throughout the poem. And there's two stanzas in particular that relate to like what the outcome of choices. There's one particular example I bring up which relates to myself as a woman and what I've experienced with like girls that I used to go to school with, and maybe one or two that I used to work with, although I just think in particular of the girls I went to school with, which is like I found that with like a lot of girls I went to high school with have got children now, and they seem, and when I'm 23 years old, I'll be 24 in July, so the girls in my year, most of the girls in my year at school, if they aren't 24, they're 23, 24. And what I found is that a lot of them have had children now, like at least one child already. And I shouldn't judge because, they seem very happy and it's their life. I don't have a right to judge, but I don't have a child. Like, I've chosen to go on to uni and to have a career, and I'm not bagging them out. It sounds like I'm bagging them out. I'm really not, but my personal view of that is, some of the girls in my year having children is that, from 0 to 18 you have to live under your parents' roof and do what they tell you, and from 18 onwards you have the chance to live your own life. Like, not all of them like had kids as soon as they finished high school. Some of them have only had kids very recently. But I just feel if you have kids when either your late teens or your early 20s, I just feel that you go from being under the control of your parents to being a parent yourself. I don't feel like you've really lived your own life. With my choice to go to uni and move, like I've moved out of home, experiencing things on my own, and I met all sorts of different people. I'm studying so I can have the career that I want, and I'm very happy. That's my choice, but at least with going to uni, I've had my own life. I'm not saying being a parent is a bad thing, and that you don't still have a life, but if you really think about it, I think with parenting, it's about being selfless and being all about the child. I don't really feel you have your own life anymore. And for me personally, I'd want to be absolutely selfish before I have to be absolutely selfless. So I won't have a child, or if I do, I probably won't be having them until later in life. But then again, that's my choice. And having a baby at 22 or 23 or 21 or 18, that's their choice. But I bring up that example because I found that with a lot of the girls in school, and not just with my year but with other years, like the girls have either gone on to either have babies or choose a career like I have and go and have training. And in this particular stanza, I think to myself, like when a young woman has a baby, we think maybe that she gave up her own life too soon. And then the stanza goes on to say, or when a woman chooses a career, everyone lives in fear that she doesn't need anyone and she'll end up alone. So I'm talking about how choices have their own consequences, good and bad. And to me, in my head, those are just the consequences. Because if a woman is like full of ambition or has a career, people think that she's intimidating to men, or she'll be alone because she doesn't need anyone, which is a bit of bull. So yeah, it was interesting. One of the stanzas, one of the last few stanzas, I think, it's not the last one, it's the second last one, It says, when we all make choices, they play out and turn into balancing acts. There are pros and cons and rights and wrongs. We just have to embrace the imperfections and play along. My father, when he sees, both my mother and my father, when they see people they know and they talk about like what Nathan and I have achieved, because my brother just bought a house and I'm coming towards the end of uni and I have my own small writing business. When they see people they know, particularly people that they know that either turned up their noses at us or thought they were better than us, it's not that they judge them, but they just, when they talk about their kids and talk about their own lives, my father will often bring up, it's like, well, that's choices for you. Like, it's all about choices. And with that stanza, I'm talking about the consequences of choices, good and bad. Excuse me, like someone may be having a great life, and it's great that they're having a great life and that they're happy, but their lives are all about choices and the consequences of those choices, and there's always consequences with choices. You know, there are pros and cons to every choice, even with a dream job and a dream family, or, you know, a dream lifestyle. There's always pros and cons to every choice in life. I have a repetition of a stanza. It slightly alters each time, but it says, whether we think they're right or what we think is true, it doesn't matter, your choices are up to you. That repetition isn't quite the same, it's always slightly altered each time it comes into the poem. But what I'm saying is, and what the crux of the poem is with these repetition of stanzas, is that, you know, it doesn't matter what choices you make, your choices are up to you, and your life is really what you make of it, really. And it's you know, no one can make the choices for you as an adult except yourself.